The 60s didn't become the 60s until a bunch of other events interceded. The assassination of John F. Kennedy, the onslaught of the civil rights movement, Lyndon Johnson's groundbreaking civil rights legislation, and the Vietnam War. But the harbingers were there. Psychoanalysis was in vogue, hence Ralph Greenson, the sleazy hedge shrinker in this book. Middle-class drug use was escalating. John F. Kennedy was a doper. Marilyn Monroe is a huge doper. Freddie Otash is a huge doper. All of that thing. The Rolling Stones have a line. It's just a shot away. And that's a tagline of this book here. The 60s are coming. The Cuban Missile Crisis is right around the corner. 2 weeks after this book ends. And the two concluding books in this series will be set in 1962. Because people are stupid. Because they believe anything. Because they want to believe. Because they considered her the most overused word, and it's completely misused as well these days, is iconic. An icon is a religious metal, the crucifix, the Star of David. I'm sure there are Islamic icons as well. And people have granted Marilyn Monroe that status. And it's full of shit. She was a woman of poor character, and she died of a drug overdose. It happens all the time. He wasn't her lover. He fucked her 7 or 8 times during the 8 years that he knew her. He'd spend an hour with her. He'd have a hamburger. They'd talk a bit. They'd get in the sack. He was a 2-minute man. Lover? Nah, it's not true. Well, in reality, he did a job for Jimmy Hoffa, trying to put some information together on Monroe. It was nowhere as involved as this big surveillance operation. And the book is probably 85% fiction. I have no obligation to the truth. Everybody's dead. Nobody's going to come pop up and say it didn't happen that way. All of the theories pertaining to Marilyn Monroe's death are bullshit. She died of a drug overdose. She was just as common as dirt. She achieved a certain notoriety during her lifetime. Her career was on the downslope and she died. I want to rewrite American history to my own specifications. America, my country, LA, my city. It's to have the power over influencing the readers and informing the readers that the events that they've read in the newspapers or seen on television are cheesy and sensationalistic, and they're possessed of no greater truth than me, but they purport to be. But I'm telling you at the gate, it's a novel. It's fiction. Well, I'm a voyeur. I like looking. I was a big window peeper when I was a young man, a kid, a teenager. And that's one aspect of my identification with Fred Otash. In fact, it's the only one. When I glimpse real life characters, and I realize they can be utilized fictionally, then I'm going to do it. If it's within my wheelhouse of the American 40s and 50s and 60s. Only God grants redemption. And he was a Maronite Christian, Maronite Catholic Lebanese, born in America, His people emigrated in 1895. And so he's an American, full-blooded, and he was religious. And you'll see that he is crossing himself at key stressful times, as do other people. People were more traditionally religious then. Even bad people like Motel Mike Bayless, who masterminded the kidnapping of Gwen Perloff. No, it doesn't interest me, and so I ignore it. I don't watch the news. I don't have a computer. I don't go on the internet. I don't have a cell phone. I don't talk politics with people. That's that. It's interesting because I'm living it, and I'm living it successfully, and I'm spending most of my time in earlier eras. But as I've said, I don't have a telephone or a computer or anything else, so I'm unplugged from the world. Yeah, I'm very good at sustaining concentration. The outline's typed. My editor, Edward Kastenmeier, my agent, Andrew Wiley, go over the outline with me, telephonically or in person, and I incorporate their notes or ignore their notes, and then the outline is on my desk, and I refer to it as I write the book. I just go through it. First of all, read Compulsion by Meyer Levin, published in 1956. It's the story of the 1924 murder, the Leopold Loeb killing, when two rich Chicago kids, for kicks and for ransom, killed a 14-year-old boy named Bobby Franks. They should have been executed for the crime. But the attorney, the noted attorney, who was a bleeding heart liberal, Clarence Darrow, defended them, and they got life without parole there. Although Nathan Leopold was paroled in 1958, and Richard Loeb was killed in a homosexual assignation in 1937. Great book. The trial drags on and on. I don't like trial scenes, especially since it's a foregone conclusion. I thought the hero of the book should have been Robert Crowe, who wanted to burn Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb. Read Libra, Don DeLillo's novel of the Kennedy assassination. That is in every way the inspiration for my novel, American Tabloid. Read John Gregory Dunn's novel, True Confessions, which is a hooked-up version to utilize to explicate the lives of Irish Catholics in LA after World War II. I know nothing about Catholicism or Irishness, and nevertheless, it's a great riff on the Black Dahlia murder case. The book, though, you could probably find on the internet for $10, is Last Seen Wearing, S-E-E-N, by Hilary Waugh, Hilary a man in this case. It's a police procedural, it's a groundbreaking police procedural about a police chief investigating the disappearance of a young woman who disappeared from a women's college in Massachusetts. The book was published in 1952 and is set in 1950. It's an absolutely perfect example of the police procedural. Nobody's read it. You should read it.